Okay, let's talk about revolution. The term has been thrown around a lot the past few days, and I don't mean to be offensive or controversial when saying this, but America is in no way ready for a revolution. Let me explain. This country has messed up a lot. But I just want to remind you, you weren't screaming revolution when the Muslim ban happened. You weren't screaming revolution when a grocery store in a black neighborhood was shot up. You weren't screaming revolution when you found out recently that prisoners can't bring new information to court if they were wrongfully convicted. Americans are not like-minded enough for a revolution.
Stunning images and videos have been coming out of Sri Lanka recently, where protesters overtook the president's mansion in a remarkable show of force from people who have been abandoned by their government. Political instability has led clearly to unprecedented levels of mass action in the face of corruption, food and medical scarcity, and government elites caring more about their reputations than feeding their people. These images look so foreign to us as Americans because it seems like we are so divided on seemingly every issue, from women's rights to racism and gun violence, that a similar fight against political corruption seems unthinkable. Now, this isn't to say that we need this type of revolution, or even that all revolutions are good. I mean, although it was hardly a revolution, think about January 6th and how dangerous the US would be right now had the Capitol rioters had any more success than they did. There's much more to be seen about Sri Lanka, that having a revolution does not necessarily make a country better off. One thing is clear though, daily life in Sri Lanka had been a struggle for survival, and it deserves the West's attention. So back in 2019, there was a devastating ISIS attack on a hotel that killed hundreds of people, including lots of foreign service government workers. And that was not only a devastating loss of life, but it really took a toll on the country's tourism industry. As other ISIS attacks haunted the region, then of course COVID came and utterly obliterated the nation's tourism. Other financial factors occurred that led to where the country is now: a government tax cut that eroded support for the working class. The country then defaulted on its debt, and now our own Fed's interest increase makes repayments even more difficult for the country, as the dollar is growing stronger and stronger compared to foreign currencies. And then the fatal mistake of the government was made. In April of 2021, the country banned chemical fertilizers in an attempt to keep pace with global calls for greening economies. And this is a story of how climate activists, when they don't consider the poorest citizens of the world and how these grand legislations will affect them, can lead to disastrous political situations. So the fertilizer ban put a third of Sri Lanka's farmland basically out of business. Things like rice production fell by 20%, and then prices grew by 50%. So then they started running out of food, so they had to import it, which is such a huge waste of money considering they had the farmland right there but couldn't use it. One of the biggest exports Sri Lanka has is tea. It pays for 71% of the food the country imports, and of course, the fertilizer ban had insurmountable effects on the tea industry, ultimately resulting in starvation levels for Sri Lankans. So why did the government do this and ban chemical fertilizers? Sri Lankan leaders wanted to increase their standing in the eyes of richer nations when it came to climate and something called ESG, or environmental, social, and governance standards. Now, I'm no expert in any of this, but I know that if something like this fertilizer ban comes with the disastrous, tragic cost of starvation, there's probably something wrong with that policy. This is a lesson to us in the US that elites, once again, don't always have working people's interests at heart, at home or abroad. Again, because we're so divided, should something like this be placed on us, we'd have very little organization to fight against it. Political instability in Sri Lanka has led clearly to unprecedented levels of mass action in the face of corruption, and while we are seemingly so removed from it, there are lessons to be learned here. Number one is that sometimes sweeping initiatives can cause way more harm than good, especially if we don't consider the most marginalized in our world. And finally, any sizable change requires a mass of people power coming together to fight against systemic injustice. And if we want to stand up for policies that we believe in and contribute to the bettering of our society, we have to take these images very seriously. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at Caro Johnson 917.